It's the fucking government, man.
You think it's not?
I think it is sometimes. I assume they listen to everything I say.
They do.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They do. You
It's
took
a lot of boring
you took a bold stand though years ago when the governments were trying to poison their citizens. You took a very bold stand that nobody else took. That's what I was like, wow, I appreciate you, because I lost 3-4 jobs because I refused to take it. I refused.
I bet you feel better about it now.
Well,
especially when you know all these people that have health problems because of it.
Cancers have increased 300%.
Yeah. All-cause mortality up 40% in some age groups.
Pulmonary embolisms almost up like 500%.
Yeah. I wonder what caused that.
Well,
Crazy.
spike proteins that's being built and collected within the system. We can go into. I can walk you through what the spike protein did to the BRCA1 gene. That's that gene inside of our DNA that tells us that there's damage that's happening, almost like the crews that go along the highway and they immediately put up cones every time there's a problem. Well, the spike protein, which is no protein has ever been able to enter into the nucleus of a cell. Not only does it go to the ribosome to say, hey, you know what? I don't want you to produce whatever protein, like if it was a skin cell, you're not going to produce keratin anymore. You're just going to produce these spike proteins. That spike protein went into the DNA and it tells the BRCA1 gene, turn off. And that's the gene that says, hey, there's a mutation here. Let's scrap that thing. And so now the cancers are building up. The spike proteins weren't shedding from the body. They collected in the ovaries. They collected in the lymph nodes. They collected in the bone marrow. So now we have all of these diseases that's showing themselves because the body is overwhelmed trying to deal with the spike protein that's attaching itself to the ACE2 and the endothelial cells in our vascular system for everybody out
And the
there.
more boosters you get,
boom,
the
you're
worse
turning
your
your
outcomes are
system
gonna be.
off. You're turning it
Yeah.
off. Your body cannot defend itself, and it's just collecting. It's just collecting.
But it also showed me the bizarre state of human psychology, that people, if you're presented with what could be a potential solution, you want to believe in it so bad that you're willing to defend these companies that have been the most deceptive companies, proven deceptive, not just deceptive, but deceptive in the way that they are allowed to distribute information. They're allowed to not be transparent about their studies. They could have multiple studies that show a negative cause or a negative effect, and they don't have to release those studies.
Why?
Because they're bought and sold.
But I think it's an agenda to it.
You think so?
I think it's an agenda attached to it because they restricted any natural thing like ivermectin.
You seen that? You heard that that was actually Terrence Howard on the Joe Rogan show. Terrence Howard is a very educated, informed gentleman who knows all about what they did to us in 2021 and what they did to us, or really those who took the mRNA shots, jabs, the COVID shots, is that they forever changed a lot of people's DNA makeup. They made them more sick and more susceptible to other diseases. And so they were talking at length in regards to that and how it was a conspiracy, but it really wasn't a conspiracy for those people who were actually in the know and researching. But what Terrence Howard was alluding to is the fact that they made it really, really acceptable because all of the mainstream media basically was on board with pushing the shots. In fact, there were people who were being banned, myself included, if you shared any alternative information. I'm talking about not just ordinary people. I'm talking about information from other doctors, physicians, and scientists that were in opposition to the rollout of the jabs. You see 300% increase in cancers. There's a lot of different things that have rolled out as a result of these mRNA vaccines that were given to people on the pretense that they were going to make them safe and keep them from getting sick from COVID. But what it actually has done is weaken the immune systems of everyday Americans, and not just everyday Americans, but those people in other countries who actually were taking it and were actually forced to take it. Were told that you would lose your job, that you couldn't travel, that you could actually in some places go to jail, be incarcerated for not taking this. Sounds a lot like the mark of the beast in the book of Revelation, where no man shall buy, sell, or trade except receiving the mark. Now, this isn't the mark, but I will say that this is a foreshadow. This is a testing experiment to see how far they could push things. But there are people, thank God, in the non-traditional media, not in the legacy media, but free-thinking media, social media, who are actually working to fight against these narratives and informing people and letting them know about what's going on. But let's look at more in regards to this particular topic, because it is quite interesting.
In the best case, accidentally done, is created a vulnerability in the populations that took the mRNA shots that does not exist in populations that didn't. And any time a pathogen shows up with spike, it is likely to trigger the immune system to stand down, right? That's something that a weapons maker might dream of doing to its enemy.
The magnitude of the information I'm about to lay out here is huge. It's really hard to describe just how insanely evil.
And just to let you know, that was a doctor that was just speaking on Joe Rogan, Dr. Brett Weinstein. So Alex Jones is going to roll out. Not only was this a bioweapon that was unleashed upon the American people and others, but the reason why. Disturbing.
The globalist are, and how it's all documented and hiding in plain view. Now, before I lay this out and play a very important segment from Joe Rogan's interview with Professor and Dr. Brett Weinstein, I want to be very clear with viewers and listeners. I've interviewed hundreds of experts, and the most important information I've gotten is from the heads of major globalist institutes, like the CREC Institute that advises the UK government on vaccines. They're the main body, one of the top organizations in the world, admitting almost 4 years ago when they first rolled out the mRNA, COVID, Moderna, and Pfizer shots, they're the exact same thing, just Moderna is 3 times stronger, that it erases your immune system. A vaccine is supposed to do the opposite of that. But this gene therapy does just that. That this information has been known for a while. There are literally hundreds of studies, mainline, Harvard, you name it, Journal of American Medicine, British Medical Journal, confirming this. But in a dinner I had, not this Friday, but last Friday, about 8-9 days ago, here in Austin with Dr. Brett Weinstein, before he went on Rogan, he talked in the 2+ hour dinner with some other folks and I about the different angles to what I'm about to lay out and what he's about to lay out. And he added a little bit more to the backstory that was so key to what we're about to play that really is the bombshell. Now, he went on Rogan for 2 hours, and it went viral. And a lot of the clips went viral, tens of millions of views, conservatively, just for the full show alone. But I kept waiting when it came out 4 or 5 days ago for the main import to be seen. And that's the fact that the mystery of what the COVID shots they push so hard, what the real plan is with those. I mean, we know it attacks fertility and causes blood clots and myocarditis and heart attacks and strokes. We know it turns old cancers that were turned off back on into turbo cancers and produces new cancers. That's all known. We know from insurance, actuaries around the world, over 20 million people are dead from those. This is all admitted. But what's the master plan? You see, the binary weapon is so strong with shots that by the 3rd shot, your immune system's almost totally turned off. And years before Professor Weinstein said that, I'm going to show you first the head of the big UK institute saying it. And it's in the literature. And he's like, oh, it's a new thing we have. You won't have an immune system anymore for these shots. He's just saying the quiet part out loud like it's no big deal hiding in plain view.
So the key message from our finding is that we found that recipients of the Pfizer vaccine, those who've had 2 doses, have about 5 to 6-fold lower amounts of neutralizing antibodies. Now, these are the sort of gold standard private security antibodies of your immune system, which block the virus from getting into your cells in the first place. And so we found that that's less for people with 2 doses. We've also found that for people with only 1 dose of the Pfizer jab, that they are less likely to have high levels of these antibodies in their blood. And perhaps most importantly for all of us going forward is that we see that the older you are, the lower your levels are likely to be. And the time since you've had your second jab, as that time goes on, the lower your levels are also likely to be.
Then you go into all the documents and research, and some of the studies we'll be showing on screen that we added over the Rogan interview to kind of augment it with a digital bibliography for you. So I wanted to just add up front the things he said at dinner that weren't off record. He says he's going to cover it on Rogan that he didn't get to during Rogan. And it's this. Not only do the shots turn your immune system way down, and some people have taken more than 10 now. Fauci's taken 6. He's in the hospital all the time. He claims, if you believe that. But any outside regular natural virus now that wouldn't even get you sick or kill you, to get you a lot sicker or kill you now because of it turning down the immune system. But that's not the key. Any regular virus or souped up gain of function virus can now have the spike protein added very, very easily or even mixed in with it. And now people that have had 2, 3 or more shots totally don't resist a pathogen, a virus that has the spike protein with it. And then he added the final piece, which is hiding in plain view and is a fact. Russia, China, and all these other countries in the BRICS nations did not take the shots. Their governments wouldn't even let them be given in places like China. They had their own classic vaccines that were actually attenuated virus so your body could learn what it was and defeat the virus itself, not produce what the virus creates to counter the virus. How does that work? I mean, it's a 5-year-old should understand this is all a fraud. It's all a scam in your face. Here's the key. Not only does it turn off your immune system, not only can it be added to a regular virus now and your body totally turns off, basically vaccine-induced AIDS, that's what's being called in mainline literature, but China and Russia and all these other countries didn't take it. So when the new virus gets released with a spike protein or a regular virus is out there that normally wouldn't make you very sick, now it kills you or makes you wish you were dead. So it was made in China. Bill Gates was involved. The globalists were involved. We know the globalists are at war with the West. China and all our supposed enemies won't get sick now. Their immune systems aren't turned down now. But everybody in Australia, New Zealand, the U.S., Canada, the UK, Western Europe, New Zealand, of course, has had their own scientists come out at the top of the government and said the shots are causing mass death. You've got Singapore's taking the shots. So many other countries as well. All those countries that had up to 70% uptake of the first few shots, so people figured out it was a scam, now are wide open to the binary weapon. One part, the shot primes you. The next virus comes along and makes you extremely ill or kills you. So that's the parts he didn't finish up with, pointing out the elephant in the room. And it's a fact, China and Russia didn't take it. So this is just over the top important. I did a whole hour on this live today.
So you seen that, you heard that. For those of you who have taken it, my sincere prayers to you. There are things that can be done to try to reverse these shots. But it was a bioweapon that the globalists, and these people need to be brought to justice. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important that we get President Trump back in the office, is because these people need to be held accountable. These people need to be brought to justice. These scientists, these globalists, these doctors, everybody needs to be held accountable. And I'm talking about with prison time. I'm talking about with repercussions for their actions, because this was deliberate. China and Russia didn't take it, so they knew what they were doing. And now when they roll something else out, you can see how they could roll it out and say, well, everybody needs to get it because people are getting sicker. They're not going to do any type of test to see, well, who's getting sicker as a result. It's going to be all of the people that took the first 2, 3, 4, 5 vaccines. That's what's going to happen. And so a lot of people are ending up with cancers. A lot of people are ending up with all different types of myocarditis, all of these different things that are happening that they're trying to normalize and say that it's normal in kids. It's normal in young adults. I don't know if you remember back in the past year or 2 years ago, there were people just falling dead. Athletes who are at the top of their condition. Tip-top condition, are just falling dead, just falling over for heart attacks. It's not normal. And so this was a bioweapon that was used that is causing damage in a lot of everyday American infertility, all of these different things. This is a part of the depopulation scheme brought on by Bill Gates and the globalists. He needs to be brought to justice as well. All of these people, these sick, wicked, and evil people, it's demonic, need to be brought to justice. I remember the push back in 2020, 2021 for you to get this, and you can't travel, and you can't, some people were losing their jobs. You can't go here, you can't go there. I didn't care because I had discernment. There was God himself, and he warned me and my wife spiritually, supernaturally to not take this, and we did not take it. Nobody in my family, thank God, my immediate family. There's some people I knew that just went ahead and caved to it for whatever reason. And my sincere prayer, God is able, I believe, to heal, to deliver and set free. But there are repercussions sometimes for not listening or not trying to investigate, at least, and being still and knowing that he's God. The Bible, I know people in the church who they go to church every Sunday and they quote scriptures and they sing in the choir and they'll read a scripture like what it says in Psalms 91, where it says 1,000 may fall at my side and 10,000 at my right hand, but it won't come near me. They'll read in the scriptures about Jesus healing leprosy, and he laid hands on a man that according to the law should have been social distance, should not have touched him and and put himself in contact with a deadly disease. But he himself, Jesus Christ, did not get sick. He did not die. Then he told his disciples to do the same thing. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So people who are fearful of certain ailments and diseases and things of that nature, where's your faith in God? I'm just saying. That's my take on it. I stand firm on the word of God. I stand firm in faith. I'm not going to inject anything foreign into my body in order to protect me from something that I believe that Christ can do all alone. And so this was the real agenda. It's now coming out. These people need to be brought to justice. This needs to be shared. I want to know what you guys think about this. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Wake Up America with Johnny Branham, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.